Support for this podcast comes from the Central Valley Journalism Collaborative, connecting communities with the resources, infrastructure, and networks to ensure a vibrant local free press.
From KVPR in Fresno, this is Central Valley Daily. It's Monday, May 12th. I'm Elizabeth Arkalian. On our show today, California has a housing shortage in the millions, and cities often struggle to get projects up and running.
So we have to make it somehow more attractive for developers to build affordable housing.
In just a moment, we look at how building affordable housing specifically is proving to be a challenge in one Valley county.
You're driving through the neighborhood one day, and there, in your neighbor's driveway, sits a metal mess of spider webs the likes of which you've never seen. It's a KVPR car. Tell your neighbors, your family, and your friends if they've got a car they no longer need, donate it. KVPR can turn that unwanted car into great radio. It's a super easy and totally free process. Visit kvpr.org/cars to learn more.
And now to our main story. The San Joaquin Valley has long been considered one of the more affordable areas in California. That is, until recent years. The post-pandemic housing market has sent home prices skyrocketing. And while that might be good for people who had already purchased a home as an investment, it's made it a tough landscape for renters and future homeowners. Plus, the state has a housing shortage and a homelessness crisis at the same time. All of this begs the question, what are cities to do? One solution is to build more affordable housing for low-income earners. Today we're looking at one Valley County trying to work on this issue. While strides are being made in the city of Merced to increase the number of affordable units, smaller, more rural communities around that city are having a harder time. Alma Villegas is a reporter with our news partner, the Merced Focus, and the Central Valley Journalism Collaborative. Alma recently reported that 500 new affordable housing units are in the works in the city of Merced. But for smaller nearby towns in the county, like Gustine and Dos Palos, zero. We spoke with Alma to get a better understanding of what is driving so much development in Merced.
To provide some context, all California jurisdictions, including Merced County and its 6 cities, must submit a housing plan every 8 years, called a housing element to the state. This plan is supposed to outline how officials are collaborating to meet the housing needs of residents at different income levels. In the city of Merced, the target goal for the number of new affordable housing units is 4,285 by the year 2032. And by affordable housing, we are talking about housing where occupants are not paying more than 30% of their gross income on housing costs such as rent. That definition is according to the federal government. Currently, there are more than 500 new affordable housing units in the pipeline in the city of Merced. Half of those are expected to complete construction this summer. So the Devonwood Apartments and one of the container home projects in South Merced are likely to be ready in the next few months. However, in 3 of the county's smaller cities, Atwater, Gustine, and Dos Palos, there are no low-income housing projects in the works.
Okay, you mentioned those container projects and housing developments. We will get into that. First, Alma, I'd like to know, how has the city been able to accomplish having 500 new affordable housing units in the pipeline?
I spoke with Leah Brown, an analyst with the city of Merced. She says that affordable housing developers need incentives that offset the costs of investing in affordable housing developments. She told me how Merced combated that.
So the city chose to purposefully attract affordable developers with the idea of partnering and selling these parcels to them. So we sold them for $1 a piece.
Brown explains that the city came to own 10 parcels of land, which officials then sold to affordable housing developers for $1 each parcel. The condition was that developers would build affordable housing on that land and keep it affordable for the next 55 years.
That's pretty shocking to me. Like $1 for a piece of land is really Interesting. So, can you discuss why it's harder for some of these smaller towns in Merced County who don't have that arrangement to do something similar? Why has development been so much slower in these smaller towns?
One barrier posed by having a smaller population is smaller resources or a smaller general fund in a city's budget. This can interfere with a city's ability to compete for state and federal affordable housing grants. I spoke with Christy McCammond, the housing manager for the city of Los Banos. She said that if we want more affordable housing, they really need to change some of their regulations.
So we have to make it somehow more attractive for developers to build affordable housing. And we've got to make the red tape and bureaucracy of affordable housing through the state and through the federal governments way easier.
Alma, can you give an example of some communities that are struggling to meet housing demand but could benefit from more affordable housing?
In the city of Castine, I spoke to Jamie Westerveld, who is the Economic and Community Development Director there. She said that the city operates without a housing department, and that's likely a reason why there's been no new affordable housing projects in decades.
Yeah. Now, you also wrote that there are lawmakers who are trying to reduce some of these barriers to increase housing. How so?
In April, Assembly member Esmeralda Soria announced two bills moving forward in the state legislature that would expedite affordable housing development in rural areas. Specifically, AB 36 would reduce the hefty workload associated with applying for affordable housing grants, therefore reducing red tape around some of these processes.
I also want to mention, Alma, that you did interview the founder of a real estate company, Anabasis. They specifically aim to create funding for armed forces veterans. What are some of the projects that company's involved in here in the Valley?
Yes, so Adam Connor, the founder of Anabasis, is currently working on three projects throughout the county. So
Merced
that
County, right?
is Merced County, yes. So two of those are in South Merced. One of them I mentioned earlier is going to complete construction in this summer. And the other one is an affordable housing project, the first of its kind in Los Banos, which supports chronically homeless people living in public encampments, transitioning them to permanent housing. So those three projects Anabasis is involved in.
And those are the projects that are partly built out of shipping containers, right?
Yes. So what happens in these projects is that they convert cargo containers, usually 40 feet long, and to homes. And officials have said that this is a cost-effective and environmentally sustainable solution to meet the city's and state's affordable housing demands.
Okay, well, you mentioned there's movement at the state level to kind of get rid of some of this red tape. What else can be done to increase affordable housing in these smaller, more rural communities?
Residents also have a voice. In Merced, the city of Merced, South Merced residents have advocated for affordable housing to be built not just in the southern part of the city, which they say that affordable housing is concentrated in. And yes, it's true that many of the projects, affordable housing projects, have been built here. So they've advocated for affordable housing projects to be built in the northern area as well, because they say that there is an inequity of resources throughout the city. And by resources, I mean things such as grocery stores. Those can be found more in the northern region of the city. So they've advocated for affordable housing. They support it. They would just like to see it be built throughout the city, not just in the southern part.
Anything else you'd like to add, Alma?
Per the California General Plan, 2 million homes must be built by the year 2030. and about 1 million of those have to be affordable housing homes. I think that is an ambitious goal, and I can see why smaller cities in rural communities are struggling to meet that demand. And also, I'm just looking forward to seeing how they can collaborate with and partner with other organizations to meet the housing demands because residents need affordable housing.
Alma Villegas, reporter with the Merced Focus, and our news partner, the Central Valley Journalism Collaborative. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
And that's today's show. Before we go, we want to shout out a listener in Fresno, Morgan, who recently became a monthly sustaining member of KVPR. Morgan became a member of this public radio station to support this podcast, and you can too. When you donate to KVPR, you're directly supporting the work of the news team and our podcast and broadcast operations. You can give a one-time gift or a monthly donation like Morgan. Just click or tap the donate button on the KVPR website, kvpr.org, or on the KVPR app. Today's episode was produced by Jonathan Linden and KVPR with support from the Central Valley Journalism Collaborative. I'm Elizabeth Arkalian. Find the latest local news anytime at kvpr.org.
Planet Money helps you understand the economy. We find the people at the center of the story.
Garbage in New York, that was like a controlled substance.
We show you how money influences everything.
Tell me what you like by telling me how you spend your money.
And we dig until we get answers.
I had a bad feeling you were going to bring that up.
Planet Money finds out. All you have to do is listen. The Planet Money Podcast from NPR.